Exercise 3.4. This is on page, what page is that? That's 137. Don't forget to put the date up the top of the page. All right, now let me explain how you do number one. Adding and subtracting fractions. Now look, most of you will probably already know how to do this, but let's just recap it. So you've got a couple of fractions, 2/3, and you want to add 3/4 to it. You can only add fractions if the denominators down the bottom are the same. So you've got to find the lowest common denominator. So change the 2/3 and 3/4 into the lowest common denominator. So what number will 3 and 4 both go into? They both go into 12. So let's make the lowest common denominator 12. What do you got to multiply 3 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply it by 4. So if you multiply the bottom number by 4, you have to multiply the top number by 4, so that'll be 8 on 12. What do you got to multiply 4 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply it by 3. So we multiply the top number by 3. 3 3s are 9. Okay. So we've rewritten that sum as 8 on 12 plus 9 on 12. Now all you do is you add together the numerator at the top. So 8 plus 9 is 17 on 12, and just let's write that as a mixed fraction. So 12 goes into 17 once with 5 remaining, so it's the answer is 1 and 5 on 12. Now what about subtracting? Well, subtracting is basically the same. You've got to get the lowest common denominator, so let's do a subtraction. Say you had 7 on 10, subtract 1/5. Okay. You go, what's the lowest common denominator between these two fractions? What number will 10 go into and 5 go into? Well, it's actually 10. What do you got to multiply 10 by to give you 10? Just 1. You multiply it by 1, so you've got to multiply the top number by 1. 7 ones are 7. What do you got to multiply 5 by to give you 10? You've got to multiply it by 2, so multiply the top number by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So 7 take 2 is 5 over 10. 5 over 10 is 1/2. Okay, so there's the answer. Now, so what I want you to have a go at is just do number one of exercise 3.4. That's on page 137. Once you've done number one, then watch some more of the podcast. Now we're going to look at adding mixed numbers. So say you've got the mixed number 4 and 5, 6, and you want to add to it 2 and 3/4. Now, you can just add the whole numbers together. So before you even add the fractions together, you can just go 4 plus 2 is 6. So it's going to be 6 plus, now let's do the fraction bit, 5 on 6 plus 3 on 4. So what we're going to have to do now is get the lowest common denominator. You don't have to worry about the whole number, just leave that as 6 out the front. We'll come back to that later. So you go 6 plus, now what's the lowest common denominator of 6 and 4? Let's see, it's 12 I think. So let's write both of those fractions with a denominator of 12. What are you going to multiply 6 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply it by 2. So you have to multiply the top number by 2. So that'll be 10 on 12. What are you going to multiply 4 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply it by 3. So you've got to multiply the top number by 3. 3 3s are 9, so 9 on 12. Now let's keep going. We've got 10 plus 9 is 19 on 12. Rightio. So now 19 on 12 can be simplified to 1, because 12 goes into 19 once. So it'll be 1 and 7/12. Okay. Now we can just add the 6 and the 1 together, and you get the final answer is 7 and 7/12. There you go. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at number 3 on page 138. That's number 3 of exercise 3.4. We're not going to do number 2, so just do number 3. Once you've done that, watch a bit more of the video. Okay, look, what I want to talk about now is how to subtract fractions. So say you've got It's not going to write now. Here we go. Come on, write, pen. Here we go. So you've got 6 and 5 over 8, subtract 2 and 3/4. Now, I'm actually going to show you another way of doing addition and subtractions. And notice this way over here, if you have a look over here, we added up all the whole numbers at the start. But this way we're going to do it another way. We're going to go, right, let's convert these two fractions into improper fractions with bigger numbers on the top. So I will need a calculator for this, so I'll get my calculator out. Okay, here we go. So let's convert 6 and 5/8 to an improper fraction. So what we do is we go 6 times 8, so go 6 times the denominator 8 equals 48. Add on the 5 from the top, add the 5 is 53. So this fraction here, 6 and 5/8, is equal to 53 on 8 as a improper fraction. Right, so we convert it to an improper fraction. Do the same for 2 and 3/4. I won't need the calculator for this one. 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 3 is 11, so that's 11 on 4. Now, we can simply subtract, we can simply get a lowest common denominator. So let's get the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator will be 8. So it's 53 on 8. Subtract 22 on 8 because you've got to multiply the 4 by 2 to give you 8. So you have to multiply the 11 by 2 as well to give you 22. Okay, so when you do that, 53 take 22 is 31, I think. 31 on 8. Now we can convert that back to a mixed number. So 3/8 are 24. So 3 and 24 from 31 is 7. So it's 3 and 7/8. So let's do another one because these are fairly tricky. What I'm going to do is I'll do from the exercise, I'll do 4A for you from the exercise. This is on page 138. So we've got these two mixed numbers that we want to subtract. Hang on, they've got the same. Let's do a different one. Let's do a harder one. They had the same denominator. Let's do K. This is on page 138, number 4K. 2 and 1/8, subtract 1 and 1/6. So what you do, with subtraction, I like to convert it to a improper fraction. So notice this side over here, I converted these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So with subtraction, I prefer to do that. With addition, I tend to like to add the whole numbers together before doing the fractions. Okay, back onto this. Let's convert these into a improper fraction. 2/8 is 16 plus 1 is 17 on 8. Take 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 on top is 7 on 6. The lowest common denominator between those two, I think, are 24. 3/8 are 24, so you've got to multiply that by 3, which means we've got to multiply 17 by 3. 3 times 17. Some people might be able to do that, so let's quickly check it. I think I should be at 3. Anyway, 17 times 3 equals 51. That's what I thought. 51. Now we've got to multiply 6 by 4 to give you 24. So multiply the 7 by 4 is 28. 51 take 28. I think would be, what's 51 take 28? Should be able to do that. Tim, I've got a brain freeze. 51 take 28. 23. There you go. So it's going to be 23 over 24. So what I want you to do is have a go at number 4, okay, and then watch a bit more of the video. Now, I want to talk about number 5 from the, let's see if we can squeeze it in here. Number 5 on page 138. Now, with these ones, if you look at, I would actually tend to, with these ones, work them out as improper fractions. See, if you've got combinations, remember I said, no, if you've got subtraction sums, then I reckon you're better off converting it to an improper fraction. So let me explain. If you look at E of number 5, this time we've got 3 fractions that are going to be added or subtracted. 2 1/3 plus 5 3/4 take 1 2/5. Now, because there's a subtraction in here, I'm going to convert all of these numbers into improper fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so that's 7 over 3. Convert this 5 3/4 into a improper fraction. 5 times 4 is 20, plus the 3 is 23 on 4. This number here, 1 2/5, as an improper fraction, is 1 times 5 is 5, plus the 2 is 7, so 7 on 5, okay. Now, what we do is we start off, oh no, well, that's right, we've got to get a lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator between 3, 4 and 5. That's pretty tricky. What's the lowest common denominator? Something that they all go into. Let's see, 25, 30 is not a lowest common denominator. Now, I certainly picked the hard one because I think the lowest common denominator is 60. There might be a smaller common denominator, but that's the only one I can think of. So I'm going to rewrite all these over 60. What do you got to multiply 3 by to give you 60? You've got to multiply by 20. So you multiply the 7 by 20, and you get, that will be 140 over 60. What do you got to multiply the 4 by to give you 60? You've got to multiply by 15. So multiply the 23 by 15. You will need your calculator for this one, so let's get that out. So we want 23 by 15. 345. This is a hard one, this one. What are you going to multiply 5 by to give you 60? That's a good question. Does 5 go into 60? I think it does. 5/8. 5 times 12 is 60, if you know your tables. So you've got to multiply the top number by 12. So 7 times 12, what is that one? That will be 94, I think. 7 12s. Oh, hang on. 7 12s are 84. Whoopsies. My mistake there. Pen stopped writing. 84. This is where knowing your tables is good. That should be an 8. Let's get rid of that, make it 84. Okay. Now, this is getting, I wish I hadn't picked this one. This is a hard one. This is the hardest one. All right, so now what we're going to do is add up and subtract the numbers on top. So I will get my calculator for this one. Let's clear it. 140 plus 345 subtract 84. 401. So it'll be, hang on, come on, get the pen sorted. 401 over 60. Let's convert that back into a mixed number. So let's see how many times 60 will go into it. So divide that by 60. It'll go 6 times. So it'll be 6, 6 and something over 60. So let's work out what that something is. So let's see. We're going 6 times, so let's clear that. Let's just go 6 lots of 60 is 360. So if we go 401 take 360, we'll get the remainder. So 401 take 360 equals 41. So it'll be 6 and 41 over 60. And there's our answer. I don't think that can be simplified anymore. That's a tricky one, that. Now, what I want you to do is have a go at number 5 and then keep working away and see how much of the exercise you can do.